Hi, Professor Kennedy here with section 6 of our warehouse technology topic. So the results of effective IT systems are all of these benefits. So if we start at the bottom, we're more profitable, and that's certainly what every company is looking for, and definitely something that the warehouse and the warehouse team can help to enable by having more sales, by having better customer service. You can read all these things. So I think the quality is very important. And we talked about this the other day in class, but I think it's very interesting to think through every time the warehouse can avoid an error, it's improving customer service and making sure that people continue to come back and do business with the company. Don't automate a mess. So NB is a British term that means note, actually it's Latin, but it means note bene, which means like pay attention. And what it says is don't automate a mess. You just get to the mess quicker. So very true. So we don't want to take a broken process and try to digitally transform it, because all that's doing is making us have a digital mess. So if you think about, you have a bad form and the form's not capturing the information, or it's making you write several things multiple times, the same information. If you put that on an iPad, that's not digital transformation. That is just taking a bad form and making it in a different format. This is on your test, as you can tell by the blue star. So warehouse management systems, these are things that a warehouse management system, which is overarching software that will run the entire warehouse. These are things that a WMS, which is how people refer to this usually, a WMS, can do for you. And so I'm going to ask you on the test to give me 3 or 4 of these. It should be very, very easy for you to come up with these, because all these things are things that you already know have to take place in a warehouse. So directed put away basically means that it's going to tell you, oh, the size large blue dresses, those need to go on A07, C07. And then that tells either the robot or the person how to stock something in the right location. It can help you figure out slotting. So we talked about slotting from a seasonal standpoint. We want the bathing suits in the front of the warehouse in the spring and in the summer, and we want them in the back of the warehouse in the winter, because we're not going to be selling as many bathing suits. It'll process the order, it'll route, it'll help tell you, it'll give you a pick list, and it'll tell you or your robot, depending on how you're doing it, how to do your pick. So you looked through all the things of pick to light and all the things in lesson 3 and lesson 4. But I wanted you to know that this system, a good WMS, will give you all of that. They'll also help you figure out what needs to be replenished, so that if your stock is low in a certain location, you can figure that out, and it'll tell you what to do. So stock rotation, kind of hand in hand with that slotting. It'll help you with kitting. VAS is value added services. So a value added service would be taking one part, taking another part, buying, having the customer buy them, and you selling them already put together. So that is a value added service. You're going to give them something that's already put together. Yard management is how you manage your trucks and how you manage your dock doors. So all these things. And then 3PL, we've talked about this, I think, before, but third-party logistics invoicing. If we need to be able to invoice a customer because all we're doing in our warehouse is providing services to other companies, then that will help. We can do that. So best of breed WMS, this is always a question. And at my company, we talk about this with customers almost every day. But there's kind of 2 schools of thought. You can bolt something on to something that you already have, and that software can be separate, but it can have some integration. Or you can say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to buy something that's specifically written to be a WMS. That's all it does. It's not built to do any other service, but it is deep and wide and usually very robust. There's benefits of both. So ERP systems, the 2 most famous ones are the first 2, they're SAP and Oracle. There's all kinds of other ones that people use. Blue Yonder has become much more popular in recent months. So SaaS, people call it SaaS, so you can pronounce that like sassy, but SaaS. Software as a service basically means you don't have to buy the software, install it on your own servers. You probably already know this, but just in case this is a term you haven't heard before, what it does is it puts the service in the cloud, and you pay kind of by the drink. You pay for however much you use, and they help you calculate out what your number of users is going to be, and then how many people have access to it. And then that gives you your ability to do this. And then they host the software, they do all the updates, they maintain it, etc. So these are some ways that you can do a weighted scorecard. I think you probably saw the weighted scorecard in your supply chain classes earlier. Similar thing here. How much weight are we going to give each category? And then how are we going to score each vendor? And that's going to give us the fact that vendor 3 has the highest score by a pretty large margin, and that they are the one that we should select for our business. Different software is good for different applications, different companies. If you've got nothing but cold chain, that's one thing. If you've got cold chain and like your Cisco Foods, or you're a restaurant supply and you've got cold chain and you've got things that are broad spectrum like packaging or dry goods and things like that, maybe you need something different. If you're trying to turn inventory very quickly, or if you're not, if you're Carvana or someplace like that. So different kinds of businesses need different kinds of WMS. So those factors are going to be different for every business. You've all seen these. I just put this in here so you could see that there's lots of ways that we can find the inventory that we're looking for and label it. Barcodes are certainly the very prevalent way, and then also the QR code that you see on the bottom, or the 2D image. People are adopting that much more because it's a lot more flexible and you can store a lot more information about each item in that 2D image. So some of the things that are coming along now are the ability to have something on your finger like this, that you can just go like this and it'll scan it for you. It's almost like a little, if you've ever been in the hospital and they put that thing to check your oxygen level on it, it's kind of like that, or on a little glove, and you can just go like this and it will scan. And so it makes it quicker. You can also see on that top right picture that he's got a device on his arm and then a scanning gun in his hand. So there are lots of ways to try to make this ergonomical and also flexible so that people can get what they need. We all know about RF, so RFID, radio frequency. These are things where if it's on a pallet or on a shipping container, whatever it may be, if it drives past something, it can pick it up because it's radio frequency. It's not something that has to be line of sight. It will just read the signal based on radio waves. So there's active tags and passive tags. I didn't put this on your test. I just want you to know that these exist and that there's kind of pros and cons. These are getting better all the time. But if you think about things like an eye tag, what are they called? Air tag, sorry, that's an active tag. So those don't last as long as passive tags because they're constantly transmitting, and so the batteries on those. But those are getting better and better every week. This shows you some costs. I don't know that this is really relevant right now because this is changing so much, and the cost of our RFID has come down considerably. Lots of ways that you can use these. You put a wireless access point in your warehouse. You've got tagged slots on one side so that if you need to pass by something, that you can tell what it is, you know what the location is, you know what the labels are. So, and then the software will be stored, and there will be access up to a portal from your forklifts, from your pallet jacks, from perhaps your robots, even perhaps from your people. There's a video here. I can't show it in this format, but I'd like you to go back into the slides for section 6 and take a look at this. Oh, I'm not going to, that's too long. Okay, this is on your test. So advantages and disadvantages of RFID. So you can read a lot of tags at one time. You don't have to have line of sight. They're pretty robust. They don't get damaged, and they can be reused. On the downside, they're very expensive compared to, a tenth of a penny for a label that has a barcode on it. There are definitely interferences if you have metals or liquids. Often the signal can't be read if it's on the top, for example, of a sea container rather than on the side. If there's metal in between where you're trying to get the signal and the actual label. And there's definitely the opportunity or disadvantage of having collisions where more than one RFID tag is transmitting to the base at the same time and the system gets confused. So you should be able to come up with maybe one or two advantages, one or two disadvantages on the exam. Okay, voice recognition is a whole nother kind of application. So if you have someone telling you in your ear on a headset what you need to pick next, and it's giving you the next thing. So this is, you should have seen some of this in that Amazon video. So why voice outperforms scanning? So we're going to look at how quickly this happens. We're going to read the next location. We're going to go there. We're going to scan it. We're going to read the quantity on the screen. We have to make sure that we have our free hands so we can place the device elsewhere. We get the actual pick, and then we locate whatever we're looking for and press the button and say yes. So if we don't have to do that, you can see how much more quick we can get all these steps down to, we can get all these steps down to only 3. So very quick. This is on the test as well. So the benefits of voice technology are definitely improved accuracy. When someone's telling you, go to aisle 7 and grab this out of this bin, and it's telling you exactly where to go and exactly in the right order, it's very much easier. But one of the things that I want you to be able to talk to me about is accuracy and productivity. Also, it takes people less time to be trained on this technology than it does on other picking kinds of technologies. Disadvantages, though, I want you to also be aware of, and this is on your exam as well, is that you can only do a few pieces of data information at a time. You can only do a sequential pick. You've got to go in the order that the voice is telling you. You can't skip a pick. The other thing is it brings fatigue. And I think people get tired of having something just kind of squawking in their ear for 7 or 8 hours a day. And so there's definitely a fatigue around the voice technology. You're going to watch this video. You already saw this in the Amazon video about how Pick to Light works. I'd like you to look at put to light as well. Put to light is how we're going to package up. So when the light beeps, that says, oh, that goes into that order. That's if you bulk pick or zone pick. And then this is just some information for you. I did not put this on your test, but I just want you to see kind of the automation and the efficiency of the different kinds of picks. And we'll move on to section 7.